What's the cheapest electric vehicle on the market right now? In fact, what are in the top 3? I bet some of you are thinking MG4, but it's not in the top 3. So what I've done here is create a list of all of the cheapest brand new electric vehicles on the market as of March 2024. Now this is a realistic price, an obtainable price by looking online rather than going off of the list price, which is ultimately a guide at best. It's a starting point. Other than maybe Tesla, who have static prices, no individual discounts, so to speak, the list price is meaningless. I mean, look at that, 33 grand, under 20. So it's taken me maybe a minute per car to find these prices. I'm not saying this is the absolute cheapest price. You can probably beat some of these, but it's a good guide as to what are the cheapest electric vehicles in the UK as of March 2024. There is a second page because there's a lot of cars, and I haven't included every single car on the market because we will be here all day. So it's mainly the most common ones, or the ones with at least a decent discount. I also want to talk about depreciation very briefly, because that is something which is going around a lot right now. And for the most part, these tables that you see, the top 10 most depreciating EVs or cars, and the top 10 least depreciating, well, quite frankly, it's a load of honk. We all need something reliable in life, like the whiteboard of truth here. It's been a long time since it's been on the channel, so it's back. But one thing that you can count on when it comes to reliability is when you're getting an EV charger or cable from smarthomecharge.co.uk. Now, if I needed a home charger, they installed mine, would be getting one from smarthomecharge.co.uk. They have a huge array of chargers. You can scroll down the list, there's a ton of them. You've got a comparison tool. So you tell them what car you've got and they will pick the best one for your particular vehicle. They've got loads of accessories, cables, different lengths. If you need public charging type 2, for example, they've got all that. You can pay in full, you can pay in monthly installments, and you've got all options. I've had mine installed by them, my brother's, Harry's, or by Smart Home Charge, and it's been faultless. Check their Trustpilot score, and please thank them for sponsoring this channel. So that's smarthomecharge.co.uk. Right, depreciation, then I'll go on to this table, and then the next table after that one. As I said, list price is semi-meaningless for the majority of cars out there, because take a Ford Fiesta, for example. Who pays the list price? Who has ever paid the list price? Other than some exceptions like Tesla that I mentioned earlier, it's kind of it's an excuse to give a big discount, isn't it? That's the reason for list. And I know that you have to have a static data point. We mention list price when we do car reviews because that's what the manufacturer tells you, which is why I always try and look at the realistic price when we do a review of something, if it's been out long enough, because that's the one that people will be paying rather than the list. And that skews the depreciation index, if you will, completely. The traditional press, the automotive media, they always use the same flawed data. List price versus trade-in price, or worst case scenario versus worst case scenario. Oh my God, look at the depreciation. It's not realistic. So let me look at the cheapest EV, which I'll fill this in a minute. Nearly 33 grand a list. So let's assume that that's worth £13,000 after 3 years. Oh my God, I've lost £20,000 in depreciation in 3 years. The EV bubble has burst. But no, actually, because that took me 30 seconds to find online a price. None of these are pre-registered, as I said. So it's not £20,000 depreciation. It's, well, a bit over 6.5 grand. 20, 6,800. I mean, the percentages are nowhere near. They're just using easy data, not realistic data. Some of these magazines even have target prices next to them. Why not use that instead of the list price? Anyway, so depreciation is a big thing. It's the biggest cost to any new vehicle purchase. So yeah, absolutely factor it in. But don't go off that, go off that. Have a quick look online at the top 3 cars you're looking at and go, right, well, this is the price I realistically will be paying, or no more than, because if you find that in a minute, you could probably beat it. and then look at the predicted price in 3 years' time. So that part of the data set that they use, the trading value, you could use that. So this is the table. We have 17, because there's joint 15 down here, in terms of cheapest electric vehicles on the market. So what do you think is in the top 5? I've got my pen right here. So 5th place, which would you go for? Let me fill this in and then I'll just rattle through the next, do the second page and so forth. But the 5th is probably a little bit of a surprise for some people. It's the MG4. 27,540. So in terms of, again, list price, it's the cheapest EV in the UK. You can get it for 21,855, which is a good price. I'm not saying it's not a good value, because it clearly is. But most people would put that at number 1. Although there is a manufacturer bringing out another car imminently, it's not quite out yet, whose price is actually below that. So that will then become the cheapest EV in the UK. So 4th, let me get the list I've got here, all my research. 4th place, we have a car that we really do like, the Citroen EC4. Super comfortable and a great ride. Another Stellantis clone. 3rd place, we have, at just under £20,000, another Stellantis clone, the E208. Who says Chinese cars are the cheapest? In 2nd place, we have, again, another European car, but one that's on its last legs, realistically, the Renault Zoe. It's an old one, it's got some safety features removed that people don't like, but it's under 20 grand for a 50 kilowatt-hour battery car that will easily go above 200 miles. And at number 1, I think most people will know what it is by now, it is the Vauxhall Corsa. Not the best car in the world, and essentially again another clone of that and that, so the Stellantis group are clearly going after value here. But 19,795 from a stupidly high list price. I mean, in my head, don't know if this is the case, if you have a high list price but you sell it at a big discount, people think, oh, I'm getting a great discount, it's a great price, I can't miss out on this. But there you go, the cheapest EVs in the country. We've got the Corsa, Zoe, E208 and EC4, all no more than £20,000, which it's a lot of money. But when you consider, and I'm using list price here, granted, the Volkswagen Polo, the cheapest variant of that, the base model with the basic engine, starts at just over 20 grand. We're getting closer to that price parity. Obviously, if you haggled and got the cheapest Volkswagen Polo, you wouldn't be paying 20 grand. But you get my point, we're getting closer to more realistic prices for cars in general, because cars are expensive, petrol, diesel or electric. Now we go to the MG4, which again, very good car. And I should point out that if you did this list in a month's time, it would be different order, as I said earlier. Another MG, the ZS, that's the SUV version. So again, look at the difference in list, look at the difference in realistic price. So good value if you want in an SUV style over the MG4. Another thing that's worth noting is that the prices I've got here aren't necessarily the base spec. Weirdly, sometimes you get a higher spec model that's cheaper discounted than the base spec. But that's how it is. A cracking car, the Honda E, £38,000. It was too expensive at launch, which is why they're pretty much stopping making it. I don't know if they've done it now, but this is certainly a run out, which probably explains why you can get it for 24 grand. The Honda E is a fantastic car. It had 2 Achilles heel, the price, well, that's taken care of, and the range. But it's the second car only, so it should be more than enough. So if you're after a brand new car and you only need a second one, that's tempting. Now, the Nissan Leaf is next. Again, another car that has, I think they've actually stopped production of this now in Sunderland. So an outgoing model. It's always been pretty cheap because it's been around over a decade. Its technology is a bit old, no thermal battery management, etc., etc. MG5, so that's your cheapest, the cheapest estate in EV world. Fiat 500 electric. Vauxhall Mocha, I mean, look at that. 40 grand list, 26. It's not even close, is it? The Mazda MX-30, I would consider this a second car, a small ranged EV, and in that respect, it's actually decent value. The Mini,
27 grand. The Auracat and the DS3 Crossback E10s are the same price, so they're joint 15th with 28 grand. And finally, a car that's got a lot of panning at the moment, which I'm having difficulty getting hold of because I'm too far away. The Honda E NY1, 45 grand list, 29 grand. It's a brand new car. So yes, it's getting a lot of bad reviews as the NY1. But when you think 45 grand is not very good, at 29, maybe it might be very good. So hopefully I can still get hold of one of those and actually do a review on one. So these are the cheapest end. Let me now go to the next page and show you, well, 17th onwards. And in a great feat of editing, here we are on the second page. I managed to squeeze all the ones I wanted to on the single whiteboard. So there are, as I said earlier, quite a few cars missing here, models anyway. You know, I've only got the BMW i4, I haven't got the other half a dozen because they either had barely a discount on it or they're just all at the much higher price bracket. I'm concentrating more on the kind of sub 40-ish pricing here. So again, there will be some models missing. It's not an exhaustive list. You're going to have to do some research yourself if you're looking for a car that's not on this. So let's start at the top. Joint 17th, an Abarth 500 and a BYD Dolphin. The Abarth, I really do like that, but it's a small car, 35 grand nearly, 29 lists, so again, that's more palatable. The Jeep Avenger, so this just shows you what a badge can do. That's a Stellantis clone, like the newer, longer range versions of the EC4 and the Corsa 208, 2008, 3, all those. Yet, it's 12 grand more than the Corsa. I would absolutely go for the Avenger over the Corsa. It's a better car all round, it feels more special, just not £12,000 more special. We've got the Astra, the Megane E-Tech, which I did really rate, not a huge discount from new. The Peugeot E308 rather. The Kia Niro, brilliant car, 7-year warranty, which always helps. Not again, huge discount, and that's the base spec, you'd probably want to go higher. A car that doesn't get a lot of press, but is actually very good. We did like it. The Nissan Ariya. The Cupra Born, 36 grand. So it's, well, 1,200, 1,300 quid cheaper than the ID3 and ID4 even. So the Cupra Born and the ID3 essentially they share the same platform. It's just Cupra did a far better version of that platform than Volkswagen did. Although the facelift ID3 is actually a lot better than the pre-facelift one. Those little changes have made a big difference. The Ioniq 6 is actually a fraction, 60, 70 quid, cheaper than the Ioniq 5. And I should point out, that's the bigger battery version of the Ioniq 5. The cheaper battery version would be around here-ish. Enyaq from Skoda and the Volvo XC40, which essentially is just a Polestar 2. Well, the Polestar 2 is the XC40. Mustang Mach-E, comically high, 50,800 list, down to 40. Q4 e-tron, 42. And the Kia EV6, the I-Pace, so look, 70 grand almost starting list, 49. That just shows you the discounts that they need to get rid of some of these things. BMW i4, down to just under 50 grand. And the e-tron GT. So I didn't include the Porsche Taycan because for a shade under £90,000, again, no discounts at least right now. Whereas the e-tron GT, a classic example of that you're paying for the badge. So that's the same as the Taycan underneath. It shares the same platform at least and motors and whatnot. 92,000, 92.5 nearly list. 69,000. I mean, it's still an awful lot of money, but it's a huge amount cheaper than the Taycan, which essentially shares its platform. So, I don't know, which would you prefer, the Taycan or the e-tron GT? If you're lucky enough to be able to choose. Just to note, the Tesla Model 3, the new one, would be in between the Mach-E and the Q4 e-tron. There's no discounts on that, of course, but yes, that's £40,000 dead on. So that's about there. And then the Model Y, standard range, obviously, for both of these. That's in between the EV6 and the I-Pace at 45-ish. A classic example of why list price is something which I just wouldn't really pay too much attention to. So again, I'm not saying that this is the static list. I'm not saying these are the best prices. Again, if you look at it in another few weeks, or maybe even by the time you see this video, you might think, well, actually, no, the cheapest isn't the Corsa now, it's the C4 or the MG4 or whatever. So, yeah, I'm done. Thank you for watching, and hopefully this helps you. If you're in the market for a brand new EV, I think most people at the moment are probably looking at the used market because the depreciation means that they're very good value. So thanks for watching. Remember, if you click the join button, then for 99p a month, you get videos on Sunday instead of Friday. And there is the second channel, Driving Home, where occasional videos go up and the occasional podcast. And don't forget, if you like and subscribe a video, that helps it push the algorithm. That's why every single channel says the same thing. Big thanks to smarthomecharge.co.uk. Remember them if you need a charger or charge cables. They're always there. Have you beaten any of these prices or the ones from the previous list? Have you recently bought a brand new car? Not leasing now, we're talking, I guess, PCP at least. What is the list price? Let me know in the comments. So, yeah, thanks for watching, guys. See you soon.